But with the younger generation now, looking at the Pat Tillmans of the world, looking at the Rocky Blyers of the world, and looking at so many of those gentlemen from World War II, there were endless guys, especially athletes, that served in World War II. Do you think this younger generation right now has the grit, the humility, and the belief in our flag enough to serve? It's an open-ended question, but I compliment you. I salute you, Rocky, and all you folks. You're heroes to us. Your selfless service, all of you in the room right now. But a question out to you, basically about the younger generation. I'll put it out to you, Captain, and I'd like to hear the other folks' feedback as far as what their take is. Are they bullish on youngsters? I guess is the biggest question. Go ahead.
Well, I'll kick it off with, I'll say that I had two sons that volunteered knowing full well that they were going to go to combat.
Right.
So I think that there is people out there that are willing to do it. And when they went in, they didn't really look at it as, well, I'm going to get money for school. I'm going in because of a bonus. I'm going in because of this. Though they got those things. What they went in for was what they felt was their duty. And I remember my dad had this conversation with me. And he said, when you serve this country, he says, you have earned your right to go anywhere you want to go and to be anything you want to be. And I'll never forget that, how that was told to me. And I told that to my kids. I said, but you don't have to go in order to be a good American. There are plenty of things that you can do. And out of those sons, 5 sons, 2 of them served, 3 daughters, none of them served. But they all demonstrate that same kind of patriotism and value. And they donate time and energy and everything to honoring this country. And I think that, I think we have history like that. What do you guys think?
Well, I think I come from a family of all veterans. All my brothers served different branches. But I think in the history of the United States, when there is a national emergency or there is somewhere in this world that they need help from a freedom-loving land, I believe that there are people, young people out there that will answer the call. We have had a history over 200 years where our citizens, our young citizens and older citizens have answered that call when necessary. You look at World War II, hundreds of thousands of people volunteered to stand for their country. It has been so in Korea, where I lost a brother. It has been so in Vietnam. It has been so in Iraq and Afghanistan. We have heroes in this country and people who are willing to stand up and say, no, we're not going to let communism or whatever force overrun this world and make it worse than it was when we started. So I believe that we do have young people out there that always stand up and say, we will do this if necessary.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. I teach freshmen and sophomores at community college at the State University. I've done that for many, many, many years. And so when I look at 19 and 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, the joy of being near young people and exchanging ideas with them and teaching a skill is a privilege, which never goes away, and I won't retire from that because it's probably the most important thing that I do. And I believe that this generation is the greatest generation ever in the history of humankind because they stand to achieve more than any generation prior to them. And I don't know what that achievement will be. I believe that called to duty and called to understand honor will be answered by them. I think they're a little more confused than I'd like them to be. Rightfully so. The world that they're in is confusing. I think that all their images are different from all our images, but everything possible to be believed can be an image of the truth. And once they learn that, once they learn what those images are and they concretize them in themselves, the way most of us have to do, we've got to get through our 20s and into our 30s. I don't think we find ourselves to a 30, 35, something like that anyway. And I think we make our bones between 40 and 55 professionally. But I think this generation stands to achieve more because the technological advancement, the idea of their imagination is different from the fables of our imaginations. And what they have to achieve is capricious and right now arbitrary because there's so much change facing them. But as Americans, they'll answer the call, and I'm not frightened for what's becoming because I don't fully understand it. But I know something is becoming. It's not what I know, but it's something that will be as great, just in a different format than I've had the opportunity to understand. And so I wish I could live for another 100 years and figure that out, but I'm bound like all of us here.
Ravel, what do you think?
Well, the question was, are we bullish on our youth for the reasons asked? And I am, with two caveats. One, education, and echoing what the judge said, I think it's critical that our youth in America learn and be educated, which is part of what we try to do with the National Flag Foundation, to continue to remind people the history of our veterans and our country. The other item is leadership, and that's what the Vietnam veterans, people like James McCormick, offer, leadership, because I think that education goes hand in hand with leadership. That's what Vietnam veterans offers. That's what you're trying to offer. That's what your legacy is trying to offer. That's what people like Rocky and James and the judge you have tried to do to establish leadership. So I think with leadership, and as long as there's continuing emphasis on education, I believe that I can safely say, at least from my standpoint, I'm bullish on the youth of America being able to step up if needed.
Rocky, we're going to give it to you.
I feel the same way about you. I think that as far as our future is concerned, depends on what happens. You know, I think if you look back over a period of time of all conflicts, the American youth have stepped up to fulfill their responsibility during that period of time, whether it be Korea, World War II, you know, Vietnam, and so on. They've made this decision. Now, I think, and it'll never happen, that everyone should serve their country. That it's not, you're 18 years old or coming out of college, you have to serve. Now that can't happen. It just can't happen. But I think that in service, you learn a lot about you. You learn about working together. You learn about discipline. You learn about being ups and downs, being yelled at, you know, and going through basic training, whatever it might be. And so there's that camaraderie that majority of young people today don't get. And so, but I also think that on the other hand is that military today, in given can be, how can I say, more advantageous to young people.
Yes.
If you making that decision from an education point of view, one possibly, if you want to become an officer, we want to go to the academy, or just going through basic training or going in and listening, and so I always say this, and I think this, that you're a college graduate, or not even that, or if you're and you enlist, and you put your time in, and you get 4 years in or 5 years in, and you go through the process, and you get the advancement along the way, whether it be an officer or from a private first class sergeant. You have added responsibility of leadership and so on, so that when you decide to get out of the service, whether it be 4 years or 5 years, that industry today are looking for leaders. Industry today are looking for people who know how to work and want to work and have a different perspective. And I truly, truly believe that being and going into the military gives you that foundation that makes you more valuable than other people of the same age or range. And so that's what I got out of serving and how important it is to a future